In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use the Adobe Premiere Pro title creator to create title cards or any type of title for your video. To create a new title, just click this new item button and click title. It's going to ask you to name that title and choose the width and the height, which will be set to the sequence settings that you are on. So for us, it's 640 by 360. I'm going to call this Ice Bucket, just so that I know what it is. It's going to be a title that actually appears over the clips here where Anthony is doing the Ice Bucket challenge. So you saw that this title editor pops up when you create that new title. And to get to that title editor when you're not having it open, you can just double click any title. So here I have this title under graphics. I might even create a new bucket called titles. Put that in that bucket and double click it. And that opens up the title editor. Let's go around this and I'll just walk you through what these different options are. Then we'll go ahead and create a title for this. Up on the top left, you have a lot of control settings. So you have your selection, your text tool, shape tools so that you can add shapes to your actual title graphics, and some other ones that might come in handy as well. At the top, these are your font settings and your text settings. When you do start creating text, it will pop up with the choices there. Over on the right, you have title properties, which include more properties. I'll go through those in a second when we add our text. And at the bottom, you have preset title styles. And the left bottom, you have align tools. Let's go ahead and look at it. So if I just click in the middle with my text tool selected, and then I start typing, say Anthony's Ice Bucket Challenge video, and I'm typing, but it's going off the screen, so I have to make this smaller. So up here at the top, you have your font size. So just like really in any other text editor on like Microsoft Word or any other editor, you have your size up here. You have your font choice over here too. So say, well, let's make this something a little bit more clean. And then you have these same options over here on the right too, some of them, like our font family, the font style, regular, bold, italics, size, aspect, kerning, leading, tracking, baseline shift. These are all things that if you're familiar with regular text editors, you'll be familiar here as well. So we have to make this a little bit smaller and then change the color. So for now, let's just change the color from white to black just by clicking the color picker down here. On the right, you also have other options for opacity. Say we want this to be a little less opaque. We can add strokes to it. So if we want an outer stroke to maybe make it stand out a little bit more, we can do that. When I click that add stroke button, this new stroke options popped up. I could change the color of the stroke to maybe red or something like that to make it stand out. I could increase the size of the strokes to really make it stand out. And the stroke has all of their own settings too for opacity, size, if you want it on the edge, depth, drop face. These are things to play around with just to see what they look like yourself. Drop shadow, I'm just going to delete that stroke, so I'm just going to say delete. Drop shadow, this is another thing that can help your text stand out from the background depending on what it is. With the drop shadow, you have options like the color, the opacity, the angle, the distance from the text, the size of the shadow, or the spread. How much does it fade versus how sharp or hard the edges are. So these are a lot of options just to look through as you start designing your own titles, and it's good to know they're there. We can move our text around just like so. We can even increase or decrease the size just by clicking on the corner and increasing or decreasing the size. To lock the aspect ratio so it doesn't get squished or really spread out, just press the shift button on your keyboard while you click the corner and drag up or down. I mentioned these title styles down below. Let's just click on one of those and see what happens. Boom, it adds a bunch of styles really something that you could have done with the title properties over the right, but there's just a lot of preset styles that you can choose if you want to use one of these styles. I usually just come up with my own style, and some of these are a little bit too dramatic, a little too extreme for me, so I usually go with something a little bit cleaner. Let's go ahead and add a shape. So I'm going to click this rectangle tool, and then I'm going to set the color, and we'll just keep it at black. And I'm just going to drag out and draw this rectangle down here. Then I'm going to select my text with the selection tool and change the color of the text to white. Now it's hard to see it, so let me just move it up here so you can see it. Let's play around with these alignment tools. If I select both of these layers, the shape layer and the text layer, by selecting one and then shift clicking the other one, look what happens when I click this horizontal center button. They're aligned horizontally centered. If I do the vertical center too, they are now on top of each other, but the black is on top of the text. I want this to go to the back, so I can just right click, say arrange, and say send to back. The reason why I want this shape is so that the the white text stands out from the background even more. So I'm just going to make this shape a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to select both layers again, click that vertical center and horizontal center, and then move this down to the bottom left of this clip. When I'm happy with my title, I can just click this exit button right here. Then I'll take this ice bucket text right here, drag it onto a new layer above the video clip that I want to add it to. And so now, if I zoom in here, you can see this clip, this title will play over these clips right here.
The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
And I can extend it over to the right and also just copy and paste this cross dissolve to the text layer itself. So select it, Command C, Command V, Control for you PC users. And there you go, a nice title that explains what's happening in the video. If people don't know, and especially for something so short like this, you might need some titles to give some more description. And it stands out from the background. That's the hardest thing when you're adding titles to a video, to make sure that they stand out from the background. Sometimes you can get away with it by just making the text a lot bigger, adding a drop shadow or a stroke. Other times you need some sort of shape layer behind the text. To get back and edit this title, we can double click from the timeline itself, or double click the ice bucket title in the program window itself. So that's the title editor. Go ahead and start adding a couple titles to your project. I recommend just adding one or two just to get the hang of it. Play around with the title editor. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be sure to answer anything that I didn't go over in this video and expand upon it in the answer, or even create more tutorials on how to use it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next lessons.